Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video we will be talking about cloud computing. What exactly is cloud computing, the language of cloud computing, or maybe in simple terms the advantages of cloud computing, why cloud makes business sense, and maybe why you and your organization can consider moving to the cloud. So first off, what is cloud computing? So the first time that I heard of cloud computing, I thought of my iPhone's iCloud. So basically where I can back up everything, literally everything on it, provided it's less than 5 gigabytes, obviously. And for Android users, iCloud is equivalent to your Google Drive. So basically I thought maybe cloud computing is basically just storage on a computer or something like that, and how maybe my iCloud enables me to retrieve my data from literally any machine if I could lose my iPhone right now. So basically everything made sense then. So I thought, okay, maybe cloud computing was just storage on a computer. Having said that, I was partly correct. Cloud computing is basically just accessing and utilizing computer resources virtually with the help of an internet connection, obviously, because you can't do all those backups without any internet connection. So maybe think of cloud computing as having your own remote computer and basically everything you may need to run and deploy your applications. So you don't need all the hardware components. All you need to worry about is just deploying your applications and making sure that your users have access to everything they need to do whatever they need with your application, basically. In contrast to cloud computing, I want us to look at something called on-premises resources, which basically means that instead of accessing computer resources virtually, all your computer resources that you might need are physically with you in your own premises or office spaces. So think of this as having your servers in your basement or in the cupboard somewhere in your office space, wherever you may want to keep them. So going back to the iCloud example, your phone's internal storage is basically your on-premises environment where you keep everything that you need. But then if you lose your machine right now, there's no way you can retrieve your information. There's just no way, because you've lost everything. So that's just an example of on-premises environment. So now, why would you and your organization consider moving to the cloud? Well, there are 6 most important advantages of moving to the cloud, namely high availability, fault tolerance, disaster recovery, scalability, elasticity, and agility. And from here onwards, we're just going to be unpacking each one of these individually. First off, high availability, which is the core to the cloud. To better understand high availability, think of Takealot or Amazon. Well, assuming that Amazon does not have any cloud capabilities. We all know that it does. It is Amazon Web Services. But for the sake of this example, let's just assume that it does not have any cloud capabilities. So Amazon or Takealot owns traditional servers. So they have X number of physical servers on their premises somewhere in their basement or in their cupboard, in their office spaces, basically. The good thing about this is they can get their hands on the actual servers in terms of maintenance, right? But the disadvantage is they're limited to the actual number of servers that they actually have. So let's look at an example, a very short example. So Amazon or Takealot owns, let's say, 10 servers that they keep in their on-premises environment, right? They know that these servers are enough to support all their users that visit their online platform throughout the year, right? So each day, let's say maybe they receive 50,000 users on average per day. But then Black Friday kicks which is just one day in a year. And everybody knows that the majority of stuff are on sale on Black Friday. So everybody wants to go onto Amazon or take a lot to get something. So the traffic does what? Is most likely going to increase. Let's say on Black Friday, maybe the traffic doubles from 50,000 users to 100,000 users. But remember, they only have 10 servers that maintain 50,000 users per day. So what's going to happen now that they have 50,000 more users? Obviously, they need 10 additional servers, but they don't have them. Remember, they just have 10 that they keep in their on-premises environment. So what happens? Their system is going to crash because it simply cannot maintain all those users, all those additional users. And I know what you're thinking right now. Why couldn't they get 10 more servers before Black Friday? Well, the truth is the numbers are unpredictable. They don't know how much users they'll get. So obviously, we gave example for the sake of this. We gave numbers for the sake of this example. They don't know how many users they are going to get. They might get maybe 1 million users on Black Friday with only 10 servers, or hell, maybe even 20,000 users, less than what they get on average, right? So they cannot get all those extra servers just in case, quote unquote, because it costs more money, which might be a loss on their side if they get even less users. So where does cloud come in here? High availability, basically. Cloud ensures that you have enough resources whenever you need them with just a click of a button. So it ensures that you have additional servers when you need them, or when you need to reduce them, you can reduce them. So they're just basically always available when you need them. That's what high availability means, always available when you need it. But then this is going to link to scalability, which we'll talk about just now. Okay, so before we talk about scalability, let's first talk about fault tolerance. And fault tolerance is just a term to describe the resilience of cloud computing. So it basically guarantees you zero downtime. So while your on-premises resources can experience power outages, failure like this are mitigated and dealt with by your cloud provider, for example, Microsoft Azure. So Azure does this by having 3 separate availability zones in each region. And just to explain, an availability zone, well, availability zones are just unique physical locations within an Azure region that are independent of each other. So each zone is made up of multiple data centers to make sure that it is as resilient as possible from complete data center failures. So your data services are replicated in 3 availability zones by default for this to work. You can ensure that they are replicated in more than 3 availability zones, but obviously that comes at an extra cost. So how this works is, let's say your data is replicated in a West Coast region, right? In that region, there are 3 availability zones, where in each of those availability zones, your data is also replicated. So let's say one is, let's say maybe 100 kilometers away from the other, and the other 100 kilometers from the other. So the other one that's at 100 kilometers, let's say it collapses and something happens to it, you can be able to access your data or your information using the other availability zone, because your data is replicated on the other side. So you won't even know that there's some sort of like a power outage or a failure to the availability zone, because your data is replicated in 3 different availability zones, basically. Moving on to disaster recovery. Disaster recovery can sound a bit similar to fault tolerance, but believe me, they are completely different. So fault tolerance, remember, ensures that any fault in the system that causes Azure services to fail are mitigated and dealt with by Azure itself. Giving an example of Microsoft Azure. On the other hand, disaster recovery consists of plans to recover critical business systems and normal operations if a catastrophic disaster occurs. So it is configured with a time to recovery, which is basically the time it takes to recover your business systems, and recovery point, which basically means the time it takes to restore essential business systems, like we just said. So you can ensure this by having your data services replicated in two different regions, so that if there is a catastrophic event in one region, let's say maybe there's an earthquake in one of the regions and all the availability zones are not in action, then the other region can pick up and your users can continue working as if nothing ever happened. So just to point out, all the three advantages that we've just discussed so far have to do with the resilience of cloud computing. And the next three advantages are all about ensuring that you have access to infinite resources. And the first one that we'll look at is scalability. And what scalability is it's the process of adding more resources on an as needed basis, right? So there are different ways in which you can scale your resources. The first one is scaling out or scaling horizontally, which is basically adding more resources to a pool of available and identical. That's very important. Adding resources to a pool of available and identical or similar resources, but they get added very quickly. The resources are all the same. So let's say maybe you're adding, I don't know how to give an example of this. Let's say maybe you're adding 2 liters of water. You add 2 liters of water throughout. The resources are the same, identical. It's just you add the 2 liters 10 times, basically. I don't know if that makes sense, but you're just adding similar resources to a pool of available resources. And the second one is you can scale up or down or scale vertically, which is basically making the current resources bigger when you scale up, and then when you scale down, it's making the current resources smaller. So let's say maybe let's say now you have 10 liters of water, and then you want to scale up, you scale up to 15 liters of water. When you scale down to 5 liters of water. The resources are not the same this time. You're either increasing or decreasing your resources. Or you can auto scale, which is basically just scaling out, up or down automatically according to the rules that you've set. So going back to our Takealot or Amazon example that we've discussed earlier, if they were faced with a situation like that where the traffic increases on Black Friday, what they would have done was, if they had cloud services or if they had considered moving to the cloud, was setting their rules to ensure that when they receive a higher traffic, automatically Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services increases their servers to help maintain all those additional users. And when the traffic is not that high anymore, automatically the servers are decreased. And then in turn, how does that help the company? Obviously they're saving money because they don't have to keep additional servers for just in case they get more users, yeah. The next advantage that we will discuss is elasticity, and this one pretty much goes hand in hand with scalability, but instead of scaling resources such as virtual machines and servers, it means you can quickly expand or decrease computer processing, memory, storage resources to meet changing demands. And if you think about it, elasticity is actually what enables scalability. And the very last advantage that we will discuss is agility. And agility refers to the ability to rapidly develop, test, and launch software applications that drive your business growth. So it allows your business to focus on other issues such as security and monitoring instead of provisioning and maintenance of resources. So instead of you having to worry about maintaining your servers, Azure actually takes all that away from you, and they worry about maintenance, and all you have to do is like worry about launching your applications, deploying your applications to ensure that your users are happy. That's all. And that brings us to the end of this video. It was a bit long, but I hope you enjoyed it and that it was very helpful. Please don't forget to comment, share, like, and subscribe so you get notified every time I upload a new video.